This is the High School Crossfire. Welcome back.
My name is Nabaka Franklin Chitintale Progressive. And their speaker comes and tells us, their first negator, about the little percentage of the alternatives. Yet they are contributing 75% of the global warming emissions in the sky. All I'm trying to say, we told them, we asked for our POIs and they refused to accept our POIs. Yet we wanted to inform them about how much the percentage of global emissions caused by their fossil fuels that are emitted by the gases that are emitted by fossil energies in the atmosphere. And then they go ahead to say that they are sources that have been put in the atmosphere that are capturing the gases. But why is it that the percentage of greenhouse emissions are only increasing by 75%? There is no decrease in global warming. Global warming is increasing day by day because of fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are only bringing about more global warming. As we, the farmers, fossil energies such as coal, oil, gas, as far as by the largest contributor of global climate, accounting for over 75% of greenhouse emissions and nearly 90% of carbon emissions. We need to end our reliance on fossil fuels and invest in alternative energies that are clean, accessible, affordable, and reliable, as our farmer said. First of all, my first point is that they are cheap. Renewable energies are actually the cheapest power option in most parts of the world today, because our perimeter is the world. And prices for renewable energy technologies are dropping rapidly. The cost for electricity from solar power fell by 85% between 2010 and 2020. Cost of onshore and offshore wind fell by 56% and 48% respectively. Falling prices of renewable energies are more attractive all around, including in low and middle income countries, which will come from most additional and for new electricity will come from considering falling costs. They are a real opportunity for much of new power supply for over the coming years to be provided by low carbon sources. Cheap electricity, for example, the renewable sources could provide 65% of the world's total electricity by 2030. It could decarbonize 90% of the power sector by 2050, massively cutting carbon emissions, helping to reduce global warming. Point number 2, use of alternative energy will lead to production of little or no global warming emissions. Comparison becomes clear when you look at the numbers. Burning natural gases for electricity between 0.6 and 2 pounds of carbon dioxide equivalent per kilowatt hour. Coal emits between 1.4 and 3.6 pounds of carbon dioxide per kilowatt hour. Wind, on the other hand, is responsible for only 0.02% to 0.04 pounds of carbon dioxide per kilowatt. Geothermal 0.1 to 0.2, and hydroelectric between 0.1 and 0.5. The increasing supply of renewable energy would allow us to replace carbon intensive energy resources and significantly reduce global warming. For example, 2009 analysis found that 25% by 2025 and national renewable electricity would lower the power plant carbon dioxide emissions 277 million electric tons annually by 25%. The equivalent annual output from 70% typical and now the coal plants, which are fossil energies, sure. And then the renewable energy could help us reduce the electric sector's emissions approximately 81%. And my source is the U.S. Department of Energy. U.S. Energy and National. So in conclusion, I would say, as a slogan we've come up with, the farmers of the World Conservation Day, the slogan that is used in the World Conservation Day: do not let Mother Nature become a once upon a time. If we adopt the alternatives, we are sustaining our life in this world, and we only have one world. We call upon you to encourage the use of other alternatives instead of the fossils. Thank you so much.
Part of judges, the two antagonistic bodies, and the August House. Good evening. I'm Lodrick Okello from Namugongo Secondary and Vocational School. First and foremost, before I go too far, the first negator came and clearly defined adopting as a way of living out. So when she says adopting, we shall be living out the fossil fuels. Let me assure you, we can't live without fossil fuels. Second of all, she spoke about the solar energy. Solar energy, the hydroelectric energy, and also the wind power. Basing on statistics and also facts, we very well know that these the farmers are basing on people's welfare. They're not actually basing on what we call the industrialization of the globe, the transport, and many more. Little do they know that fossil fuels, for example, let me say the petroleum, may be used in the batteries that they are saying maybe could be used in transport. Furthermore, the oils, let me say asphalt, is used in construction of roads. Before that, my speaker, before I go too far, the second farmer also came saying geothermal electricity. Geothermal electricity, I don't think it can go too far as
POI.
Denied. As far as transport, this is only dealing in the welfare. I think they are dealing with maybe
Speaker,
cooking.
POI.
Denied. I think they're dealing with cooking and also home ethics, but they're not thinking about the industrialization. They're not thinking of how we shall live without industries, how we shall live with poor quality transport, or how we shall live without some of these fossils. Furthermore, as I go too far, my speaker came and said, we shall adopt. We shall not adopt, actually. We are implementing the use of technologies. For example, we expect to implement the new advanced technologies to help in the capture of some of these gases. For example, carbon monoxide, denied, where we use carbon capture methods, for example, the use of metal-organic frameworks, which remove 90% of carbon dioxide from the power plants. This could make a lot of sense to countries like China, Switzerland, not forgetting South Africa, which are highly industrialized. He also spoke of nanosponges, for example, the solid amine sorbents. These also help in the carbon capture. This is information got from www.jwnenergy.com. Furthermore, I don't know if the second speaker really got what is meant by carbon capture. Let me help you. Carbon capture is a process of trapping carbon dioxide produced by burning fossil fuels or other chemical and biological processes and storing it in such a way that it is unable to affect the atmosphere, with the aim of mitigating the effects of global warming. So how?
POI.
Accepted.
Are you aware that all I was trying to say, these industries and other businesses have already put those carbon emission captures in place, but it is increasing day by day.
If you had given me an example, I wouldn't have said that. Furthermore, I'm also basing on the fact that we shall have to bring in new technologies. Or let me say, for example, we are going to implement the growth of genetically modified trees. These trees, according to statistics, these trees, if grown, they grow as much as 53% larger in 5 months compared to unmodified trees, hence capturing 27% more carbon dioxide, which would be released into the atmosphere to affect the ozone layer. Ladies and gentlemen, let's imagine if we keep doubling the number of trees we plant every year, then by 2030 we will have planted enough trees that over a lifetime of the project will be able to remove 1.66 of only 2021 global emissions, and which will reduce over 600 megatons of carbon dioxide. This information... Beg for a second to conclude. Ladies and gentlemen, imagine we have eliminated 1.66 in only 1 year, according to the Smithsonian.com. Then we believe by 2030, which is even less than our time frame, then we would have eliminated 14.94 of the global emissions, which is clearly a great improvement. Ladies and gentlemen, I beg to rest my case.
This is the High School Crossfire. We'll be back in a minute.